Yeah, and you take that incredible stress on people
Yeah.
and you throw that on top of whatever other life stresses they're coping with.
Hmm.
And, that's psychophysiology in a nutshell. You're just piling all of the stress of being locked down. And, we felt it here too. We've been in a very mild, relatively speaking, condition here in the state of Oregon,
Right.
not nearly so many cases as other states in the US and
Hmm.
provinces in Canada have suffered, but it's tough. I hear every day from people, friends and colleagues, how much difficulty they're having in coping with this, especially going on as long as it has.
Well, I want to thank you and the other members of the medical community, police, fire, rescue, paramedics, who are at the very front of this war. So thank you, sir, for everything that you do.
You're very welcome. I wish we could do more, but the light at the end of the tunnel is a good light, and it's coming.
Well, that's great. How did you get started in the field of stress-related illnesses, doctor?
Well, it's almost embarrassing to admit, but I went through 9 years of formal medical education and training without, almost all the way through those 9 years without
Hmm.
hearing that you could become truly seriously physically ill in connection to stress that's going on in your life, either past or present. But I happened to run into a patient, and since some of your guests or your audience and listeners may be eating, and we won't go into details about what her symptoms were, but they were severe. I mean, they were off the charts severe. She had already been to one university hospital with no diagnosis. She came to our university, and we couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. But I just happened to ask her about stress, and um, I phrased it in a way that made her think about stress from her remote past when she was a child.
Hmm.
And she began telling me that she'd been abused, fairly
Oh.
severely as a girl. But this was, 25 years before her illness came on.
Hmm.
But it turned out there was a psychiatrist that worked at my university that understood these connections, and she was able to cure this severely ill patient in less than 3 months of weekly counseling sessions. And that just shocked me. I mean, there was nothing in my teaching about uh, organ diseases and structural abnormalities that gave me any hint that such an outcome was possible. So I learned from that psychiatrist. She became something of a mentor for me over the last year and a half or so of my formal training. And I used what I learned from her in my practice and was shocked again to find just how many of these patients there are. I mean, it was 35 or 40% of my practice without even, looking hard. And I learned from my patients after that. By interacting with
Hmm.
them, doing a lot of trial and error over the first 4 or 5 years,